Hello, everyone. I'm Susie Cohen, and welcome back to part 2 of the 6 essential steps to feeling thyroid healthy. Before I talk to you about step 4 in the process, I want to let you know what's coming during the next 30 minutes because this stuff's going to blow your mind. You may not even realize, but the number 1 selling drug, levothyroxine, is inactive. True story. Your body has to activate levothyroxine in order for it to work, in order for it to become T3. And your body has to convert all of the thyroid hormone that your thyroid gland makes, and it has to convert that to T3, just like it has to do to the medication. I'll cover this in detail so you fully understand. I just wanted you to know that the medications you take sometimes don't even work until your body makes them work. And your body needs minerals like zinc and selenium and iron. You need iodine to do all that. You need a proper healthy methylation cycle. So I'm going to talk about that and folic acid. I'm going to touch on migraines and the drug nutrient depletion. I'm also going to talk to you about your gut. A lot of people are constipated, and it doesn't matter how much medication you take for constipation. It could be a sign of low thyroid. So we're going to cover this and so much more. Right now, I want to start with step 4. Step 4 is to activate your thyroid hormone. Remember, I told you at the outset your gland produces thyroxine or T4 and that is inactive? Well, so step 4 here is to activate that T4 to T3. Just because your gland makes the thyroid hormone doesn't mean it's active. You have to convert it to T3, which happens in the cells. If all of your thyroid hormone is sitting around locked outside of the cell, then you're still clinically hypothyroid, or what I call thyroid sick. So take a close look at my slide. The purple circles there are molecules, and the purple ones are iodine molecules. Notice that the thyroxine T4 has 4 of them. You have to drop one of those molecules of iodine in order to feel thyroid healthy. See how T3 only has 3 purple iodines? That may not make sense, right? Because everyone says you need iodine for thyroid production, and here I am saying you have to lose an iodine. So let me back up. In order for you to even make thyroxine or T4 from your gland, you must have iodine on board. But then, after you make that T4, your body has to put it through a chemical reaction in order to activate that thyroid hormone. So iodine deficiencies will cause hypothyroidism because you can't make that T4. But see that enzyme? If that deiodinase enzyme is non-functional, you'll be thyroid sick because you can't make T3. Your cells have receptor sites that allow T4 to attach to it. And then that T4 is shuttled in and it's activated inside the cell and it loses one of those iodines as it turns into T3. If you don't ever activate to T3, you never feel your best. Now, this is probably the best time to tell you that levothyroxine, sold as Synthroid, is a pure bioidentical T4 drug. It's bioidentical to the T4 that you actually produce, although the drug is synthetic. It does match your own T4, but it is inactive. It'll remain inactive until your body turns it into T3, just like you have to do with your own natural God-given thyroid hormone. Now, there's one innate problem that can go wrong, and few people ever talk about this for fear of going against the, quote, standard of medical care, but I'm willing to tell you, that's what you depend on me for. Thyroid hormone can go 2 ways. It can go to reverse T3 or to this T3. Okay, let's talk about that a little bit more. T3 and reverse T3 are mirror images of each other. Reverse T3 is intrinsically inactive because it docks onto receptor sites in an upside-down fashion. This in turn prevents proper activation of that receptor site and only serves to block the site. It doesn't activate. So your T4 can go in the direction of creating T3 for you and making you feel good, but it can also go in this direction where it creates reverse T3, basically a hibernation hormone. At least that's how I like to think about it. Now, this is really important information to know because most doctors aren't measuring reverse T3. It's totally measurable. You might have to nag your doc in order to get this RT3 test run as part of your full thyroid profile, but I think it's important. In fact, I think it's huge. A lot of doctors will just say, that's not important. But let me prove to you why this is important in the next few slides. We need reverse T3. We need some of it. I just want to say that. It's like the brakes in our system when our thyroid hormone is the gas, so we do need both. But excess amounts of RT3 cause you to be thyroid sick because they're blocking the cell's receptors, and then your real T3 can't get on. Okay, so let's take a look at this slide. Thyroid hormone can go two ways. A lot can go wrong here. Take a look at this slide. If your T4 is being turned into RT3, it could be because you have abnormal cortisol, high or low. It could be because you're taking levothyroxine, which is a T4 medicine. You could have a vitamin D deficiency. You could have high estrogen. You could have elevated TPO antibodies or low ferritin. That will all cause you to make more RT3 inactive instead of active T3. See, I told you a lot can go wrong here. There's no magic bullet. I want you to take a look at the left side of this slide of how T4 goes to T3. That's what you want. How do you do that? You need to have sufficient amounts of iodine on board, selenium, iron, zinc, vitamin A, vitamin B2, riboflavin, vitamin B12, vitamin B6 or the active form pyridoxal 5-phosphate, beneficial bacteria like probiotics. How amazing is that? I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But my point here is there isn't a magic bullet of, I'm going to take this one supplement and I'm going to feel thyroid healthy. You might need a couple different ones. So keep in mind those two sides of this slide. Now, timed release T3 might be helpful if you're showing a high level of reverse T3. And as you can see, the ways to improve T4 to T3 conversion are listed. The minerals are huge. You don't want to take minerals at the same time, though. This is important. You're thinking, I want to take my selenium or my iron or zinc or whatever. If your doctor is fine with those supplements, I'm fine with that. But just separate administration, okay? Don't take those supplements at the same time as your thyroid medicine because you might inactivate it. Now, the beneficial bacteria is very important. We'll talk about that shortly. The B vitamins are very important. You can take them independently, or you can take a B complex that's high quality. But one important point about that riboflavin, I love riboflavin. It's important for adrenal function too. Deficiencies of riboflavin can lead to migraines or buzzing sensations in the brain, also a higher risk for cervical cancer. So if you're prone to migraines or you have this buzz in your brain, it could be low riboflavin. I don't know, you might want to work that out with your doctor. And if you read my Drug Muggers book, you would know that there were hundreds of medications that deplete the B vitamins, hundreds. And so those drugs can indirectly lead to a person feeling thyroid sick. Now, I didn't have space on my slide. As you can see, it's already complex, but I do want to throw out a few other factors that slow down the conversion of T4 to T3, and some of those factors include free radical exposure, lack of adequate dietary antioxidants, the kind you get from food, like colorful vegetables, kale, blueberries, things like that, chronic ingestion of alcohol. That could be as simple as 2 glasses of red wine at night. That can slow down your T3 activation. Also, stressful mental or emotional challenges, those can have an effect on the conversion. All of these factors come into play. So you can see here how thyroid hormone can go two ways. Really, really important. A little known fact before we leave this slide, most diabetics get better with thyroid treatment. So if you have diabetes, taking thyroid medicine can help you. Let's look at another slide. Take a look at this one, thyroid hormone conversion. You have to make that conversion of T4 to T3 in 1 million cells, actually 1 trillion cells, trillions of them, all the time, all day long. And it requires minerals, as you can see. So let's go through these chemical reactions real quick, starting at the top. What is that BH4? You've probably never seen that. It stands for tetrahydrobiopterin, and a deficiency of this can be caused by all kinds of mutations. I don't want to get heavy into the genes, but I do know some doctors are listening and tuned in today, and so for your benefit, I'll let you know that BH4 tetrahydrobiopterin deficiency can be caused by mutations in GCH1, PCBD1, PTS, or QDPR genes. These genes basically provide instructions for making enzymes that help produce and recycle it in the body. And tetrahydrobiopterin, or we just call it biopterin in my world. We just call it BH4 biopterin. It helps process several amino acids, including phenylalanine, which you get from your diet. And that's important because that turns into tyrosine, another amino acid. The tyrosine is absolutely essential to create happy brain chemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, and of course, thyroid hormone. That's what the T stands for. T stands for tyrosine. Notice how we need iodine to create thyroxine. Many people think iodine exacerbates Hashimotos, but I don't think it does at all. I mean, levels of iodine have been declining like crazy over the last few decades, and yet the incidence of Hashimotos is increasing. The levels of iodine have fallen over 50% in the last 40 years, but Hashis has increased exponentially. Iodine does not cause Hashimotos. Methylation does come into play if you're heterozygous or homozygous for the MTHFR variant A1298C, or if you have metal toxicities like lead or mercury or aluminum, you're probably lacking biopterin. L-methylfolate is where the methylation pathway starts. So if you're taking L-methylfolate from leafy greens or supplements or a drug like Deplin, and it normally converts into BH4 unless you have this gene SNP, then you don't make enough and you're prone to hypothyroidism. So if you have the BH4 gene SNP, it's going to be a problem for you and you're going to be more prone to hypothyroidism. Now, in order for the tyrosine to turn into thyroxine, your gland needs 4 molecules of iodine and trace amounts of manganese. Deficiencies of either of those is going to lead to hypothyroidism. Now, the big deal. In 1 trillion cells, you've got to convert this T4 to T3, and there's separate enzymes that carry that out. Your brain is never going to starve. That's why your TSH is almost always normal, while 1 trillion cells in your body are starving for thyroid hormone. In order for you to convert the T4 to T3, you need a lot of minerals on board, specifically selenium, zinc, and iron. We underestimate iron, but iron deficiency anemia will slow down T3 activation by slowing down the enzyme which carries it out. So you may need iron supplements, but you never want to take them with your thyroid medicine because they'll inactivate your thyroid medicine. Let's talk about your thyroid medicine and your foods. Make sure you wait. Pretty simple rule of thumb. Always take your thyroid medicine on an empty stomach. Never drink milk or eat dairy products around your thyroid medicine. And again, don't take your iron supplements or multi-minerals or multivites around your thyroid medicine. I would wait a couple of hours. Let's take a look at step 5, the cell. Step 5 is to transport the thyroid hormone into your cell. Again, you have trillions, and you got to do this all day long. So the picture of the cell is pretty much my artistic rendition of people who are thyroid sick. Notice how many reasons will cause you to reject the thyroid hormone, and then you can't get into the cell. But remember, that's where you want it. You want the hormone inside the cell, not loitering out in your bloodstream. Take a look. High levels of reverse T3 will block entry, causing you to feel thyroid sick. It's because the transport system goes down. Just think of a New York subway shutting down and everyone is stuck down there. Nobody can get to where they want to go. Okay, high levels of thyroid peroxidase or TPO enzyme will stop the transport system too. You can bring levels of TPO antibodies down by going gluten-free, preferably grain-free. That's even better. Low levels of vitamin D will shut down transport. Mineral deficiencies, especially zinc, iron, and selenium. And a simple thing is to fix your levels of beneficial bacteria. Poor gut flora will definitely hinder T3 transport and activation. Next, let's take a look at some conditions that actually block transport. This comes right out of my book, Thyroid Healthy. It's page 38. And just by virtue of having any of these conditions, anxiety, bipolar, chronic fatigue syndrome, Lyme disease, migraines, obesity, high triglycerides, all of those things listed on that page. It doesn't matter. This will all cause you to be thyroid sick. Whatever your TSH is, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Your TSH is probably going to be normal. But these conditions will make you thyroid sick, meaning you might need medicine. You probably do. So it happens because the conditions prevent you from having proper transporters. And so if you can't transport your thyroid hormone out of the bloodstream and into the cell, then you're going to be thyroid sick. Levels of total T4 and free T4 might be perfectly normal because they're being measured in the bloodstream. But again, what's inside the cell? Not too much, because the transport shuttles are down, right? So if you have any of these conditions, it means that your thyroid support might be in order, even if you have normal levels. You can also check your body temperature. It's probably low if you're cold all the time. And if you crave warmth, these are clues. You can just try some medicine and see how you feel. Your normal labs mean nothing. Just by virtue of having any of these conditions, you're going to be thyroid sick. It doesn't matter what your TSH is. These conditions prevent you from transporting your thyroid hormone from the bloodstream into the cell. So levels of total T4 and free T4 may be normal. Your TSH might be normal. But inside the cell, there's not too much happening because the transport shuttles are down. So if you have any of these conditions, it means you need thyroid support despite your normal levels. You can also consider your body temperature. These are clues. If you feel cold all the time, then you are definitely, needing some thyroid support because your thyroid gland is your thermostat and thyroid hormone keeps you warm. So you can try medicine and see how you feel if you have any of these conditions that I've listed. If you have Hashimotos or Graves, it doesn't mean you always will. I honestly believe you can change things for the better. Autoimmune disorders start in the gut. They start in the gut. The proteins from the food you eat every day could possibly be leaking out and getting into your bloodstream where they don't belong. You don't think your gut has anything to do with your thyroid? It totally does. Take a look at this slide. What does your gut have to do with your thyroid? A lot. Healthy digestion means that you're able to extract minerals and vitamins. That's important because you need these nutrients to improve the conversion of T4 to T3, right? You want to get to that T3, that active thyroid hormone. Well, 20% of peripheral T3 conversion happens in your gut. 20%. Sometimes that's all a person needs. And remember, you want T3. It's a fat burner and it's a weight loss hormone. So probiotics are essential to this T3 activation. It's a weight loss aid. Everyone is buying all these different supplements to help assist in their quest to lose weight. But you make your own fat burner. It's T3. It's thyroid hormone. You cannot have normal thyroid function without a healthy gut. And also, I should tell you, yeast and bacteria prevent you from fully activating your thyroid hormone. So you have to work in harmony with your microbiome. In a healthy digestive system, more than 100 trillion organisms reside together in balanced harmony, including your own unique strains of microflora, something I call the flora fingerprint. Now, there is a complex interaction between these microorganisms in the cellular development of our immune system. People with a poor immune system who get sick all the time can do one simple thing. They can include healthy probiotics in their supplement regimen. This will tilt the balance of bad bacteria to good bacteria. So probiotics are fundamental to a healthy immune system, and so is vitamin D. Now, I just want to make sure that you know the picture on the right is just a picture of intestinal microvilli. It's like a little shag carpet. People with celiac have no shag. They have like a Berber carpet. And the microflora, that's just a picture of, bugs, gut bugs. And I should tell you, leaky gut, GERD, heartburn, yeast infection, diarrhea, constipation, all of these will compromise your thyroid hormone activity. So step number 6, restore healthy microflora. That's the final step in improving T3 thyroid hormone. Probiotics help offset the pathogenic gut bacteria, and they help you convert 20% of your thyroid hormone to active T3. That's the form you want. And it all happens in your gut. So now you should be convinced that your gut has a lot to do with thyroid hormone. Let's go back to this slide, thyroid hormone conversion. What blocks that conversion? We've talked about a few things already, but I want to show you here that a deficiency of healthy gut microflora will slow down the conversion of T4 to T3. It's what we call dysbiosis. When you have bacterial infections and other yeasts and problems in your gut, we term that dysbiosis. So when you have that, it down regulates or slows down that deiodinase enzyme that you see at the arrow there. And when that enzyme isn't working, that means you're not producing T3 as well as you should. And also a deficiency of zinc, selenium, and other trace minerals will slow down that enzyme as well. So that's what blocks peripheral conversion. Now let's talk for one more minute on GI activity and hypothyroidism. The net result of poor probiotic status is hypothyroidism. It's also constipation, and it could be infection. Now, all the while, your TSH and T4 will be normal on your standard blood test. I just want you to know that. Your free T3 levels may be low as well. So number one would be to support with probiotics, but I would also consider healing your gut by improving your diet, of course, that goes without saying, and maybe including digestive or pancreatic enzymes. Maybe consider DPP4. It stands for dipeptidyl peptidase 4. This is a supplement that you can buy on its own. It also is found in some multitasking formulas. It protects your thyroid gland from gluten and casein. That's what DPP4 does. It helps break down some of the gluten and casein that you would be getting from the foods that you eat. And when you reduce levels of gluten from wheat protein and casein from dairy protein, you'll see less of a fire, less of an attack on the thyroid gland. So DPP4 can be very helpful. I would also consider glutamine. It helps the gut lining. And obviously optimizing your thyroid hormone, that usually brings relief to people with constipation. And of course, removing all the food antigens that might be affecting you. Looking at this pretty little schematic, this is how normal activity goes in the GI tract. You have, starting at the left, probiotics, and you have a nice normal amount of those. That helps you produce B vitamins. Those are important. B12 and biotin, very important, and others. And when you have those B vitamins, that helps you produce normal thyroid hormone, and that keeps you looking sexy, feeling good, and a normal, healthy weight. That's normal. Here's the abnormal schematic. This is when you have a deficiency of probiotics. You have a deficiency then of folate and B6 and B12 and other B vitamins. Then you can't absorb and create adequate amounts of T3, so your thyroid's sick. And then what happens? You could be overweight or obese or develop diabetes. So that's the abnormal problem. You'll also see higher levels of pro-inflammatory cytokines when you don't have high enough levels of probiotics. Just FYI, the deficiency of probiotics could also lower your levels of serotonin, and low levels of serotonin are associated with poor self-esteem, depression, and pain. Now, this schematic, this abnormal one, will also be tied to diabetes or elevated blood sugar, insulin, and cortisol. That's why people will hold on to weight. Now, I wonder if you have diarrhea frequently. I mean, I know that's a random question, but if you're not absorbing your food, you're not absorbing your medications or your supplements. And an inflamed gastrointestinal mucosa may be the culprit here, and that should be addressed as well as your probiotic status. Okay, let's move on to one of the final sections of my presentation. What is the best medicine for you? Let's start with Hashimotos, because I get this question a lot. A lot of people who have low thyroid symptoms have Hashimotos. This is an autoimmune form. Most of the time for a person with Hashimotos, I've seen a combination T4, T3 drug, such as NDT or natural desiccated thyroid. I'm thinking Armour, Nature-Throid. These drugs work well for people who are hypothyroid, and they work well for most people with autoimmune hypothyroid, meaning Hashimotos. And sometimes they don't, though. it just depends. I cannot say what's right for you. But what I can tell you that is every now and then I hear how antibodies are rising in a Hashi patient after they've started this NDT drug. Now, in this case, if you're a Hashi patient, you can ask to switch to synthetic levothyroxine and see if this reduces the antibodies. The reason this happens is because the NDT drug is derived from pig thyroid gland. I know it closely matches human thyroid gland, but some of you with an overactive immune system can't distinguish between the human and the pig thyroid hormone. So you take these pig-derived thyroid hormone drugs and your immune system is confused. All it sees is just more thyroid gland, and it just goes to attack it, and your antibodies increase. So again, the answer here for some of you, a small percentage of you, would be to switch from NDT to levothyroxine, have your antibodies measured. Okay, that's very important because hopefully they should come down. Now, practitioners who prescribed NDT thyroid don't realize this, but I'm going to tell you a big secret. NDT drugs have the ability to deactivate DAO enzymes. That stands for diamine oxidase enzymes. That increases histamine intolerance. It's not the T4 or the T3 itself of the drug that's doing it. It's the increase in histamine. So you're the person that constantly has allergies or multiple chemical sensitivities. You might be taking a lot of antihistamines or squirting Flonase into your nose every day. I'm wondering how many of you are taking NDT drugs and your DAO enzyme is deactivated and you're dealing with a higher histamine burden in your body. I'll let you have that conversation with your doctor because right now my focus is thyroid disease. It's not allergies or treatment of allergies. I just wanted you to see a possible connection between a medication and higher histamine or more allergies. And I'm going to leave you with that. Next, I want to answer the most common question I've received since the Thyroid Summit ended. That question is, what if I take medicine and it doesn't raise my levels or make me feel better? Well, that's a huge question. There's a few reasons. It could be your absorption. If you're not absorbing your food, you're not going to absorb your medication. An inflamed GI tract will hinder drug absorption. Now, you might be also using an inferior product or one that contains methylcellulose as a binder, and that will reduce absorption, and that may be why you're not responding to your medicine. So if you're taking a medicine that contains methylcellulose, I suggest supplements of cellulase to help break down the cellulose, which is being used as a binder. You can also change compounding pharmacies and find one that doesn't use methylcellulose. Now, avoiding minerals and dairy can also be huge. If you're taking minerals and dairy within 2 or 3 hours of your medicine, it's going to bind up the medicine, basically deactivate a big portion of that, and that might be why you're not responding to your medication. So avoid minerals and dairy within 2 to 3 hours of your medicine. Also avoid coffee within 2 to 3 hours. Now this next slide, it's the same question at the top, but in keeping with the avoidance of minerals, you'll want to avoid any other supplements that have minerals in them, such as green drinks or protein shakes or medical foods. So just read the label closely. Let's talk about the type of drug. NDT drug like Armour has gluten in it, at least we think it does. Let's talk about that. Some thyroid medicines do have gluten. It changes all the time. Now, currently we know that Nature-Throid and Levoxyl are both gluten-free. Armour Thyroid, we're not so sure about. It contains inactive ingredients. One of them is called sodium starch glycolate. Sodium starch glycolate can be derived from any starch source. For example, corn, rice, potatoes, and wheat. They're all potential sources. And some of these sources are not gluten-free. For example, wheat. Therefore, medications listing sodium starch glycolate as an ingredient may or may not be gluten-free, and Armour falls into that category at the time of this presentation. What else can you do if you're not responding to your medicine? Well, try switching it up. If you're using a compounded medicine, Switch to a synthetic one. Maybe it's just better standardized and you'll respond better to it. So a couple of examples: if you're using a compounded T3 drug, switch to Cytomel, or vice versa. If you're using compounded T4 drug, switch to Synthroid, or vice versa. Just keep switching your medicine until you start to show some kind of a response. You can also try a long-acting medicine. This can be compounded for you in the pharmacy. You can have compounded long-acting combination drugs that are similar to Armour Thyroid. They're just made in the compounding pharmacy, and they contain different levels of T4 and T3 customized to what you need. Okay, let's take a look at more reasons why you might be taking medicine and your levels aren't going up and you're not feeling any better. Maybe you're not being tested correctly. You shouldn't take your thyroid medicine the morning of your blood test. You should take it right after. I don't really like tests anyway because they could all be wrong. The reference ranges could be wrong, as we've already seen. So I prefer that your treatment be based upon your clinical presentation, because lots can go wrong with lab testing. But the point of this is not to take your thyroid medicine the morning of your blood test. Take it right after they draw your blood. And also, one other thing while we're talking about it, did you know that antibody tests should be done first thing in the morning? You should be drawing your TPO and TG levels, or any antibody for that matter, between 7 and 9 a.m. to see what they really are. That's when they're highest. After 9 a.m., your antibodies will go down significantly. So keep that in mind. Now, what about taking your thyroid drugs right after your tests? Yes. I cannot imagine how many of you have been told to take your thyroid meds before your blood work. No, my friends, this is not correct. You should not take your medicine just before you take your blood test. When your doctor gets your blood test back after you've done it properly, he'll probably see why you've been feeling horrible all these years. Okay, so the final reason that you might be unresponsive to your thyroid medicine is something I mentioned earlier. You may not have corrected your adrenals. So you may have adrenal fatigue. Always support adrenal glands first. You might have to even discontinue your thyroid medicine and then repair your adrenals, and then bring in your thyroid medicine later. It might take up to 6 months to repair your adrenals. Okay, so this is my summary slide, the 6 essential steps to feeling thyroid healthy. Step 1, do not believe those test results. Believe yourself. Step 2, support your adrenal glands, because no matter how much thyroid medicine you take, it isn't really going to work well for you until your adrenal function is better. Step 3, avoid the triggers. It's so easy. Just say no. There's so many things you can say no to: junk food and plastics and medications that you don't really need. Step 4, activate that thyroid hormone. You've got to convert it from T4 to T3 in order for you to wake up and feel well and lose weight. Step 5, transport the thyroid hormone into the cell. It doesn't matter how much thyroid hormone you're making if it's loitering in your bloodstream. You gotta get it into the cell. And step 6, restore healthy microflora. It's such a simple thing. Probiotics are affordable, they're available everywhere, and they'll convert 20% of your thyroid hormone into an active, usable form. All right, let's get social. Stay in touch with me. This is how you can interact with me. Just click on your favorite social media icon. I'm always on the computer. I will be on a computer off a mountaintop. I want you to know I offer a free newsletter. You can receive that just by signing up at susiecohen.com. And when you opt in, you'll get my exclusive newsletter to your email. I also do have an opt-in bonus for you. Just visit my site to see what that is, because I change it all the time. And if you've liked what you heard today, please spread the word and share me with your loved ones. And in the meantime, here are some other educational materials. These are my books. They're available to help you. And this might also be a good time to mention ThyroScript. It's my unique formula. It contains nutrients and cofactors needed to help with peripheral conversion of T4 to T3. Basically, the goal of this is to increase tissue levels of thyroid hormone. A lot of people wonder if they can take that with their medicine. You know, it's probably something you should ask your doctor about. Most doctors have said okay because ThyroScript isn't raising levels of thyroid hormone. It's just making the thyroid hormone that you have convert better to T3. That's its primary goal. It's designed to support adrenal and thyroid health, and it does contain that DPP4 I mentioned, a natural digestive enzyme that you make yourself, and I've included it in ThyroScript to offer a little protection to your thyroid gland from the gluten and casein proteins that you're getting from your diet. And there's more information about that at scriptessentials.com. So many of you are having incredible results from ThyroScript, and I couldn't be more pleased. It's working so well that if you have thyroid problems, I really, really want you to try this. So I'm doing a special price on this product in the next few days, so please be on the lookout for my next email. Now, I hope you've enjoyed my program today, and I hope you learned everything that you need to start getting thyroid healthy. There's no greater gift than the gift of health, and I really want you to feel better. I'm signing off for now, but I'll see you next time.